Welcome to these Sci-Fi guys. I am your host Dave, and with me is John and Chad. Today we're going to be talking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, back from 1977, back when I was a little one. You know, it is funny. One thing they did not talk about in the movie is what does it mean by
The
of
third
the
kind.
third kind, and if you look at actually in the movie poster, it says Close Encounters of the First Kind is a sighting of a UFO. The second kind is physical evidence that one exists. And then third kind is actual contact.
I thought
So
it was a. Didn't they do another movie, the fourth kind?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
That's here.
And
It's been recently, not like maybe late 2000s.
well, we'll have to look it up and see. But I don't remember hearing anything or seeing that or not. I will tell you a funny story, though. I thought I had seen this movie. I never have.
Mhm.
I really thought I seen this movie before, but
You probably seen
I
clips.
no, I had when I was a kid, because I was a kid in '77. Star Wars came out. I remember we
Hmm
all dressed up in 1976, and I think I was in third grade or something. I remember we all had to dress up for our school picture because that was for celebrating independence, 100 years of independence. Yeah, no, 200 years. 200 years of independence.
Yes, 200
Yeah, I
bicentennial.
can't add. 1776 minus 1976. So anyway, I digress. But I had the cards. I used to collect trading cards.
Mhm.
You had the stick of gum in it, and then you had all the cards. And I remember I had Jaws 2 or Jaws. I mean, all the Star Wars ones from the original Star Wars, A New
Mhm.
Hope, as we call it now. And I had several of them from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And it was funny watching the movie. I watched it the other day, and I was like, I remember the scenes from the cards,
Mhm.
but I was just like, I've never seen this before. I mean, just after the first like 5 minutes, I was like, yeah, I have never seen this before. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was different. And I mean, we'll talk more about that with ratings later, but
True.
so let's go ahead and we'll get started on the first segment. And our first segment is questions, and that's going to be from Chad. Chad is the one that chose this movie. First of all, Chad, what made you choose this movie?
I love the movie. I watched the movie when I was a kid.
Oh, well,
See, I was a kid and watched it in the
and
90s.
I didn't,
Yeah.
and that's funny. I mean, it was around, and I knew about it because I had the cards, but I never watched it. And then this was also but it was both John's and my first time seeing it. So
See, I had older cousins that had this on VHS. For those people out there that don't know what VHS is, it's a big square black tape.
okay, it was an analog
It's
DVD
DVD.
or
No,
analog
analog.
Blu-ray.
Right.
Sorry.
No, it's
So,
analog. That's all you do. So, for those that haven't seen it, this movie, and it's not. This is not a question. It's going to be a statement here. It's refers a lot of conspiracies on the Bermuda Triangle, with the you had a couple, a whole squadron of planes went missing back in World War II. You had a ship that went missing. And all of a sudden they mysteriously shows up in this movie. So nobody. I think this is what else we're going. Why did they show up right now? Why all of a sudden they showed back up?
yeah, I'm gonna make that one the thumbnail. Okay.
Yeah, as I say, the great mystery of the third
Yeah.
kind.
That it really
Yeah.
is. I mean, again, being my first time seeing the movie, I had no idea what to expect, and I was like, and I had no idea. I was like, were those things in Bermuda Triangle stuff? And I kind of figured that towards the end of the movie. Um, I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why they sent the machines or the vehicles back first, and then, I mean, I'm guessing this was a couple days later, 3 days later,
Yeah.
when they decide to actually show up and meet the humans. Um, but yeah, I don't know why they decided to bring the machines back first and then the humans later. Maybe it was a technology thing. I don't know. John, do you have any ideas?
I mean, my best guess is just to generate the humans asking questions, so maybe they would seek them out, kind of like a trail of breadcrumbs, because they did leave a lot of hints along the way, and I think that's my best guess. Um, Overall, it doesn't really make sense because why wouldn't you just show up with the humans and negotiate or something? I don't know, but it was an interesting concept to build the story. It did build intrigue
Yeah.
and brought me in a little bit, so I'll take it for that at least on face value.
Yeah, and throughout the whole movie, I kept saying to myself, "This was filmed in the '70s. Just remember that this was filmed in the '70s."
Yeah. So thing is, when I watched it, when I was kid, that was still the question: why did they do that? Like, is more so. It's just curious at what other people thought. So why could it? Like, you remember after all that they showed the mom and the little boy at the house. Kid gets up middle of the night, probably sleepwalking. But he gets up because he was seeing stuff was happening in his room. He went to investigate, as most 2 or 3 year olds would do. So why couldn't we see the extraterrestrials in the house then than we did at the end of the movie?
Budget.
Okay, that's a more valid, fair point.
I mean, that
Yeah.
is a valid point. It is budget because they wanted to have the big reveal at the end. I really
Yeah.
think is what it was, and so they wanted to keep suspense going throughout. Um, I did. I did almost this kind of gave me some of those old 70s and 80s horror movie vibes, you know, like I don't understand why the aliens would have your stove and dishwasher doing the goofy stuff that they were doing, opening up the vent screws and then popping the vent open, which was too small for anybody to even get out of or
Yeah.
Yep.
anything, but it was just I don't know why an alien would want to do that, except for maybe that was just their way of trying to communicate. I mean, trying to get our attention is the only thing I can kind of think of.
Yeah, and I mean overall, I think we all know the real reason you don't see the aliens there is just again suspense. They're building up to that big reveal. They're building up to that big moment, but at the same time, um, I definitely think they could have at least done the whole. Here's a snippet of one. Here's a leg. Here's an arm.
Yeah, that would have been
Done
good.
something like that. I think it still would have worked. So truthfully, I don't really know why we can't see him, but I think it makes for a fun, almost Matilda-esque story there at the beginning.
Yeah. Matilda, or kind of reminds me of E.T. a little bit.
Hmm Which the
Yeah.
ending really does remind me of ET. I mean, they look a lot like ET, and I know ET
Well, they
came
both
later,
were
so maybe he drew
they both
inspiration.
were done
But
by Spielberg, right?
Yeah. Most of these movies back in the 70s, like this, even in
The
its
big movies, yeah.
big movies, was Spielberg. That was it. Most like these blockbusters movies with Spielberg. So we can see a lot of his technique and what he does in all his movies. Because why redo a broken wheel? Revamp the wheel.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What what did what did they hope to accomplish by making contact?
them or us?
Them.
Goodness knows. It almost seems like they're in sort of a self-rescue mission, like maybe finding others around other life. Maybe those are their like rangers, scouting rangers, and so they're just out to sea. But again, the ships seem to have a lot of young on them, so it almost seems like something happened to their world, and they're just out trying to find somewhere safe. And maybe they found that in the humans, so they keep taking some of these humans to figure out if we're a safe place or not. I really can't tell necessarily why they want to establish contact. My best guess is they're trying to find safe harbor.
I can see that too. I mean, I was just thinking that maybe they had a lot of issues with communicating with us. Meaning, I mean, because they had, I mean, think about it. I know the movie came out in '77, so it was set in the '70s, and you said World War II was what, the '40s. So they've
Yeah.
had some of those people on there for 30 years, and the best communication we had was 6 notes on a piano and like 6 signs. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
after 30 years, that was the best communication we could do was, but of course, maybe they were, I mean, kind of what happens later on is maybe they were prepping our people. The first time around in the '40s, they just took people like you guys said that were in bad situations just to save them and get them out of the way. And then this time was to try to prep us so we could understand them better.
Yeah.
Maybe, that's the only thing I can kind of think of.
Because I don't know if you remember at the end of the movie, I think the little boy said they're fine, they're good, they're good, they're good, they treat me good.
Hmm.
Because we all seen other movies with aliens making contact. They never came to do contact like this to swap people in and out and be
Yeah, it was nice not having an alien come and attack.
yeah,
Where it was just, hey, we want to meet. You know,
and actually meet and peacefully. So with that question said, as far as leads to this one. So how would you react if you had a close encounter of a third kind?
I'm not sure I'd be the best one to meet them.
So you're saying you're gonna be the
You would
general?
ask questions later, Dave. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's leave it that way. I would defend myself and then, oops, sorry. But no, I mean, if that wasn't the situation, and I knew it was something, um, and there was a way to communicate. Uh, the biggest problem I have is, like I've got several friends. I got one really good friend. She's German and has a very strong German accent. I've got friends that are Hispanic who have got a very strong Spanish accent, and I have a lot of trouble understanding accents already as it is. Um, so I could just imagine, like I said, I would not be the best choice because I would have a lot of trouble um, being able to communicate. With that being said, I think it would be awesome to be able to meet an alien from another planet, just to be able to see who they were, and then find out, hey, how did you guys create this technology? What do you guys want to do? What are your life goals? Like when we're younger, we're taught XYZ, 2+2 is 4, and then we're told, hey, you can be whatever you want to be. I mean, what is yours? So,
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm probably freaking out. I'll probably become Mr. Electricity Man, and I probably just go ham and go wild and just throw off everything about my normal day to day life, because that would be both awesome and upsetting. But if I didn't go that route, honestly, I would probably have the encounter and just never talk about it. Like it would probably just be like, "Oh, that's a thing that happened. That's really cool," and then just tell no one about it. That seems
Uh,
more like something I would
John
do.
would use that in Two Truths and a Lie later on at some
Yeah.
Yeah,
point.
you're right.
and later on when you dying, but I met an alien.
Oh, by the way,
And
I met
everybody's real like,
aliens.
"Yeah, right." And it was like, actually,
Actually, here's a picture.
Actually, here's a selfie.
I mean, honestly, see that'd be the point I would reach. Make friends with the alien, tell no one else about it. We're good to go.
Yeah, I kind of agree with it. Both sides. I'll be frightened and try to hide, or be curious and be like, "What's that?" Just investigate more to me. So let's see here. Question: Why do you suppose the movie narrative followed three characters, not just one? Now, let me clarify this: three characters is included the The one be the duo scientist, the mom and the kid, and the electric man. So, do you see any advantage of this type of storytelling? Also,
I do. I think it's a. All right. I read a lot of science fiction books, fiction novels. Like for example, the one of the current ones I'm reading right now. It's basically mosquitoes have basically trying to decimate the world, but they were not. But they were man-made. In other words,
Oh, I
they
was
were
gonna say,
man-made.
oh, so Starship.
No, they were man-made by the U.S. government. They were actually little mosquitoes, but you could tell them because they're orange instead of being black. So but the story is there's this group of people here. There's another group of people here. There's another group of people here. Then there's another group of people here. Well, eventually they all get together, and then you get the big ending. But you get the different stories as they're going along. And I think this movie did it very. This was kind of back in when they first started it, where you had his story, you had her story, and then when her son got taken away, you still had her story. Then she meets up with him. What was his name? Roy, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they meet up, and then they have their story, and then you had the French guys, or I call them the French guys, the dynamic duo, whatever you want to call them. You know, as long as he's not, because I'm Batman. As long as he's not saying and then you have the dynamic duo, the two French people, or the French guy, and then the interpreter. You kind of have their story. Then all of them meet up at the end, and then you have the big reveal of the aliens. So I just think it was a good storyline to kind of keep it interesting. I think if they would have just had one story, maybe like Tom Cruise. Sometimes you have a just a Tom Cruise movie, and he is the focal point. So you may get a little bit of the enemy, but then the rest of the movie is centered around him because he's the star and he gets paid so much. So I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. And the fun fact is, nobody wanted to be in this movie. Nobody wanted to star in it. Yeah, they asked all kinds of people to star in it. And
it was the same thing.
Everyone. I mean, this was the 70s. Nobody. Star Wars came out was being recorded at the same time this was. So
nobody.
They didn't have science fiction movies then, and so they didn't want nobody wanted to say, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. That'll be great."
Well, look at it. You had a lot of monster movies, and they tried to do a sci-fi in the 50s, but nobody the genre was not there, and so that's why a lot of actors didn't want to do it. Same thing with in the original Star Wars. They have a hard time convincing Harrison Ford play Han Solo.
Yeah, well, and actually, the main reason he stayed in it was because he was in American Graffiti, who George Lucas did.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, okay, well, I enjoyed doing that movie. I'll stick with it. That was the only reason Harrison Ford stayed in it,
So, John, what do you think about this?
I definitely think it's a good technique, and Dave, I think you're extremely right in pointing out kind of the novelization effect of that, because that's really a book idea. I mean, books have been doing that even before movies were a thing in some sense, at least giving and fleshing out stories more and more in different characters' timelines. I think you're also right in saying, I mean, that's definitely around the time that they would have started doing that idea. I really like it just because it's kind of like just this tangling of webs, and then you don't really see the full big picture of why they all matter until they kind of come together. I mean, you can pick up on hints along the way, but it's just nice to see all of these individual pieces matter, and they're going to form the bigger picture. And I can definitely tell in the modern age, I mean, we're kind of used to that form of storytelling now, but you can definitely tell where even some modern sci-fi and fantasy kind of draws from that idea. Thinking particular, and right now, Stranger Things very much seems like it kind of hits that idea, and probably drew a lot of inspiration from parts of this film. Because I mean, they definitely have, the Duffer Brothers are definitely huge into all of those worlds. So it's a good storytelling technique. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, especially this type. it was more easy to follow. It's not jumping around every couple minutes.
Oh yeah, it was really good transitions for that type of storytelling in this film.
Yeah.
I give you credit for that one too, Chad.
Yeah,
Because
I wish they would have given Julian a little bit. That was the girl with the mom. I wish they would have given her a little bit more build up instead
Yeah.
of she sees it on TV, then you see her laying in bed, and then she has the pictures behind her of Devil's Tower. You
Yeah.
know, I kind of wish we would have seen her build up like we had with Roy. You know, how you kind of saw the transition of how he was acting, and then with the mashed potatoes, and then with the clay, and then building it from there.
Before the mashed potatoes, it was shaving cream.
Shaving cream.
Shaving cream. You're right.
But
so
then
he was a real build up, but she wasn't as much.
But her son, that when they all met back up at the little curve outside, remember?
Yeah.
He was both Rory, the son, and Julian was built. Son was building the same thing out of dirt.
Right, he was.
So it was. So before we get into more of this, that's the questions coming up. So this is the last question. This is what was the Devil's Tower monument was the three characters' main focus. All three main characters, they all focused on it. You didn't see
they see dead people. Sorry, wrong thing.
All things.
Oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that one saved. I would be like, I could have played it.
Well, see, 6 is twice 2, so you see Into the Afterlife. That's the 6th kind. But yeah, I mean, they definitely seems like almost again the trail of crumbs by the aliens, just quote unquote infecting certain people, just to see if they can push them in the right direction and nudge them. And obviously, the government tries to cover up a lot of the crumbs, but obviously, I think the aliens are at least intelligent enough that they put stuff in place to kind of get past even some of those barriers. So to me, it just seems like again a part of the trail, as it were.
Yeah, and I think they didn't. Well, one, I don't think they wanted to use any. How do I say this? Well, I think the Devil's Tower, the actual monument place that they decided to use, one, it was secluded so that you could be able to get everyone away from there, like the government did with their,
yeah,
where they knocked out some animals or whatever, and to what my knowledge is and to what I understood from the movie is that is the place where the aliens were telling them, hey, we're going to meet there. And even with the sounds and all that, how they kind of went up with the whole, hey, that's longitude and latitude, that's this place and it's on a map, it's right here. So like John was saying, all the different breadcrumbs were getting you to that place, getting you to that point.
Yeah. It's all breadcrumbs, and that's to me but that was the biggest breadcrumb that you saw Rory and the dynamic duo build up to. And like I said, I wish they showed more Julian to do that, because it would have tied. It would be like something.
Well, especially after her son was gone.
Yeah.
So you could have seen her in more. I mean, I guess maybe we could save this for the fixing part, but I would have loved to have seen her. She's mourning, but at the same time, while she's crying, she's just kind of staring off into space, crying, and her hand is drawing, not even looking at the paper. Just kind of, it's just doing this, I'm sorry, you can't see my hand. Just doing this, and then I just think that would have been a cool thing. I'm going to use that in my fixing and improving part, but. Okay, if that's all of our questions, then let's go to our next segment. Plot holes. What did you guys think? Was there any real, in-your-face plot holes with this?
I mean, honestly, there was one I thought of while watching it, but like it was so small, I don't remember it now. And so to me, there weren't really a whole lot. There's probably some glaring ones I missed, but it's not my forte as it is to find plot holes. But I didn't see any major ones in this one.
Chad, how about you? I mean, you're the one that knows this movie better than us, so you've seen it before. So I'm sure you caught on something.
I don't think we talked about earlier about why the air vent, why all this why not just the door and the windows? I don't. It's just
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I think a lot of that, those are plot holes. I agree with those they were just there for the shock and awe
yeah.
value.
uh,
Um, I'm still confused on why the aliens would want to communicate that way, and then why did half of his face get sunburned and the other half didn't? To me, that was kind of I mean, like there was light, but why did only half of your face get sunburned? You
Yeah.
know?
Or
Uh,
the birds going down the road.
Or even better, the birds that they got out of the car.
Yeah.
So if there was nothing really there, why were the two birds dead?
Well, the two birds were still alive. They had the windows down.
They had the windows down, but when they got
Got
pulled over
out.
by the army guys and he
But,
could
but
walk in front of the camera, both birds were dead.
yeah, but you didn't see it. Like, he's the one who went and got him out of the car.
Right. He did. No, yeah, the army guy did.
Yeah, so
So
he could have sprayed something and
he could, you're right. He could have, but we don't know.
don't
That's what I'm
know.
saying. It could have been a plot hole. The only one I really majorly saw was it showed longitude and latitude.
In
All
the
right.
wrong way.
It says the aliens provided coordinates for a place to make the rendezvous at with the humans, but they did not specify the time or the date. So how did the humans know when to be there and when they were going to, you notice right before, and then they're like, okay, make sure this is checked and we check this, do they do that every night? And then, you know what I'm saying? That's the only kind of, stickler to me that I was like, oh, okay, really? That should have been, instead of just saying latitude, longitude, then time or something, even make it a, military time, Greenwich Mean Time or whatever, something like that. I just think that would have been, I don't know, a little bit, just a little bit, give us a little bit more.
Yeah. They
So
were just figuring it out. So it could have they didn't see it off camera. They could have figured it like, oh,
yeah, but they could again. We mentioned this on this channel before. Is give us a one-liner, throwaway line or something. Oh hey, we figured out that it was time. It's going to happen at 8:00. So we're going to be ready at 8:00 every night. Or hey, they have these other numbers here. Oh, we figured out that's the date or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just something. Could be a simple throwaway line. It could be whatever. I don't know. All right, let's go to our next segment. Fixing or improving. How would we fix or improve this movie? Let's go with since Chad's seen it before, we're gonna leave Chad for the end. So because he's had the longest time to think about this. So John, let's start with you, then I'll go, then Chad will go.
I mean, honestly, some pretty simple fixes for me. A large part of it, if it was just made, and when I say the modern age, I just mean with modern camera equipment. I love the practical effects side of it. I wish we would move back to a lot of that because a lot of that was golden to me. But just in general, like even imagining shot in film, but like blown back up to 4K or something, with a quality of camera that we have nowadays, I think they could have set up a lot of really cool shots. Otherwise, really story-wise, I love the triple story element. There's not a whole lot I would fix there other than some of the stuff you guys mentioned earlier with Jillian. I might fix our madman's story a little bit. It feels, it makes sense that the family kind of leaves, but I would have them at least, and I know he's supposed to get on the ship, but like at least fix some of that. Maybe they run up at the end, the government's found something. I need a better ending for him,
actually,
because that's so sad.
Spielberg and those guys mentioned afterwards, they said if we had a chance to redo it, we would totally fix the family thing because, it just makes it look like, hey, I don't need my family anymore. I'm going to get on this alien ship.
Yeah, that's my biggest one because I just felt real bad for the guy. So that's it for me.
Yeah, see, I'm the same way with you. First off, I would have made Roy single. Don't even have him have a family. Just let him be freaking out and doing all this, and his neighbors are just watching him do all this stuff. Maybe they come over and, hey, what's going on? Whatever. Don't even have his family involved in it at
Yeah,
all.
making the old hermit on the in the cul-de-sac.
Or yeah, or something. So that way at the end when he does get on the ship, it's not so, oh my gosh, he left his family. There's none of that. I already mentioned the stuff about Jillian. I think she'd be drawing or whatever. I think a really neat thing at the end would have been, since Jillian was called there, she didn't get on the ship. She got her son back and then left. I think it would have been cool to have her son go halfway down the stairs and go, "Mommy," like this, "Come here, come here." And then she gets on there, grabs, and they hold hands, and then they walk into the ship the rest of the way. I just think that would have been a really cool, okay. She wanted to be with her son, but now she gets best of both worlds. She gets her son back, and she gets to spend time with the aliens. And oh, by the way, she kissed Roy, who's going to be there also, and he's single.
Yeah, that
You know,
that would have been
you know what
much
I'm saying?
perfect. 'Cause it definitely seems like they were trying to set those two up, and then it's just like they couldn't.
Yeah, because he's
I
married.
got a
He's
family.
got 3 kids that are horrible, or whatever. Okay, Chad, now you.
All right, man, we dress a lot. I mean, especially with Julian. And I agree. Make Roy single. I mean, there's no sense in him having a family because he just freaked out and just flaked out. So to me, is back then it was back in the 70s. It wasn't that prevalent of somebody leaving the house, like abandoning the family like that. So to me, that was just you are going outside of the norm. But kind of sold it, or at least have him reconnect to his family before he got on the ship.
Yeah, or something, or he got better at the end.
Yeah,
Once the aliens came in there, he was like, "Oh, oh my, that's how I was acting." Of course, it was in the 70s. He couldn't
yeah,
just pull out his cell phone.
yeah.
If
But
they
it's
redid it now, maybe he pulls out his cell phone. "Hey, honey, I'm okay. You're not going to believe this," and then FaceTimes with them with the alien ship in the background or something.
something that would make it believable for her.
Yeah.
Other than that, or maybe show inside the alien ship, like them walking in, and
Yeah. Now, which cut did you see? Did you guys see the one they did do a remastered cut where they had the interior of the spaceship where you could actually see it?
no, I watched what was on Europlex.
Yeah. See, the one I have does not have. It was the original. Well, I'm sorry, it was a remastered version. That's why you'll notice the aliens looked a little bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But what is the one you saw, John? Did you see the?
I saw the same version you guys saw. However, it came with the director's cut that I just did not watch. So that cut may have what you're talking about.
Yeah, supposedly it shows the inside of the ship, and Spielberg says, "I wish I never would have recorded it with that. I liked it better when it was just kind of misty and
Yeah.
fog, where your mind just kind of made it look like it was supposed to look."
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, little things that I wouldn't change much because they, they did a great storytelling up front. So other than that, that was maybe it.
Yeah. Well, since we've been talking about this, let's go ahead and rate it. Okay, we're going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. So, since Chad's the one that picked it, we're going to have Chad, you go first.
No, hopefully I go last that way.
No, we're making you go first.
All right, so here's this because I've seen this movie. I love this movie. I will watch this again because it's a great movie. Great for the sci-fi feel, for what it was in the 70s. I'll go for the storytelling. All this they can they could have done some more, but to me, I'll give it a 4.
Okay, 4 lightsabers from Chad. John, how about you?
For me, I'm kind of in a similar vein. Very great storytelling, very good story overall. It wasn't real, B filmy and like low budget. It was very well done. Overall, I'd probably go more 3.5 just because it's a little too long for me. I think that's my one major gripe, and so overall, it just takes it down just a notch for me.
Yeah, and so you're 3.5 lightsabers, and I am also 3.5 lightsabers. I love the story. I thought the story was good. Um, like you guys said, it was a little bit long. The beginning part with the French guy and or the dynamic duos we call on them, it just got kind of confusing on what was going on when they were finding the airplanes, you know. And so, like you said, you could have cut all that out. You could have cut the whole thing out about the boat and some of it could have been shorter. And I think they could have they missed the boat on Jillian's backstory. But I still give it 3.5 stars. I would watch it again for sure.
So, got one more thing about this. Darn it. So like I said, it's Spielberg. He done plenty of other movies. What you recognize his work from? What other movies have you seen him in with Spielberg?
With Spielberg,
Mm-hmm.
he did E.T. He did. Didn't he do Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark? I don't remember if he did.
I
or
can't
not.
remember or not, but I know he Jaws.
Jaws, yeah. I mean, a lot of them were big in the 70s,
Yeah.
early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Man, I'm looking at my movie posters to see if any that are in my room to see if Spielberg did any of the. Didn't he do Jurassic Park?
Oh, I think so.
So yeah, he did more of the big Hollywood films.
Yeah.
A lot of
he
them.
was the blockbuster guy.
Yeah.
And let me throw this out there to kind of piggyback on what Chad's talking about. Did you notice who the composer was for this movie? It was John Williams. Same one
we
who
love
did
that.
all the Star Wars ones,
Star
Yeah.
Wars. There's
Almost all of the films we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the ones he's done. John Williams is like the bomb.
He was
Him and Spielberg and Lucas were.
Yeah, they were tight, So, okay, well, we're coming to that point of the show where we'd like you guys to contact us. That's right. You can use your phone. No, you can't use your phone because we're not going to give out our phone numbers. But the easiest way to contact us is in the comments right here in YouTube. If you just guys blast a comment in there, give us a like, thumbs up. That would be great. Subscribe. We're also on all the social media networks at TheseSciFiGuys, or you can email us, TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. Yeah. We've actually had a few new subscribers lately. We've been getting a few little things here and there, so we're having fun with it. This is just an enjoyable time. This actually was a very good movie, Chad. I think you picked a real good one. I picked the one for next week, and I think John is going to thoroughly enjoy this because he knows nothing about the series.
I sure hope so.
Because
I'm hoping this will be my intro.
This is his intro
into
Star Trek. So we are watching Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Just because, in my opinion, this one was the best of all the Star Trek movies. One, because it has the original crew on it. And two, it was way better than the first one. And so we don't want to go into the first one. Yeah, the first one was we will discuss what could have been for the first one. Well, actually, maybe we'll watch it at some other point. We'll talk about that later. But I did tell John, hey, he needs to watch Space Seed, which is a season 1, episode 22 of the original series, which is basically the introduction into Khan. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Khan. And actually, for those of you out there in YouTube land, we're gonna have a special guest. I'll just leave it at that. So until next time, everybody,
Crash and
Crash
burn.
and
burn.